Local Spotlight is brought to you by McNally Smith, and today I'm joined by BK1 of Bones and Beaker. How you doing, man?
Hey, Barb. I'm really good.
I've been waiting a while to have this conversation. Let's talk first about BK1 for just a minute. I think when I met you, you had come back for a very rare New Year's Eve gig with Brother Ali.
Right.
And you DJ'd behind Brother Ali and other Rhyme Sayers artists?
There were some special guests, yeah. That was a special appearance because I had officially retired, at least with Ali, in 2010. I put in 10 years on the road with him. Some of them 8-9 months gone.
Oh my gosh!
I say that like it's a complaint. It was amazing.
I am sure.
But my wife and I decided we were ready to expand our family from 2 outwards, and as great of a job as Ali does, and so many of my friends do as touring dads, it just wasn't the life for me. It wasn't what I wanted to do, and so I put in my 1-year notice with Ali, put out an album, spent a year touring it, hit everywhere in the world that we had people that follow us, and was able. And then Soundset of 2010 was my last official show with him.
And then you came back just for that New Year's Eve show.
Yeah.
It was a benefit show. It was for kids' music in Robbinsdale, if I'm not mistaken. And now, how long were you out of music before
out in the wilderness?
You went crazy?
You know what? It's funny. All my friends laughed in my face, but I was legitimately saying, I'm retired. I'm done. I'll always tinker with music. I'll always collect music. I'll always love music. But it's time for me to move on to the next chapter, maybe be a teacher, or, who knows what. And I started off as a stay-at-home dad. The thing about stay-at-home dadding is that there's a lot of downtime. You know what I mean? Well, first of all, as a DJ, I'd been listening to so much music constantly, but all of it with like a mind for like, what can I use this for? It was almost like I was just like filing envelopes or something, like
Right.
An album would come out that I was really excited about, and it'd be like, this song goes in that pile, this song goes in that pile. And like all of a sudden I had my 2 feet planted, had nothing really to do but just like kind of hold this baby and walk laps around our kitchen. And I just fell back in love with listening to music, which was a really big step for me towards like wanting to be creative again. And then the other piece of it was I was working at a group home for folks with developmental disabilities. And my coworker, Tony, the other half of Bones and Beaker, also worked there. He and I have almost nothing in common. As people, as musicians, like we were approaching music from 2 completely different locations. But again, there was just all this downtime to like talk music, talk projects, share stuff with each other. And I had just wrapped up with Ali. He was just wrapping up with his band Villa that I was a fan of.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of like a Beach Boys, harmony-rich, melodic pop album kind of thing.
They played something out on Raspberry Island, I think.
Did they? I didn't follow them closely. Like, it wasn't really music that I would collect and like spend a lot of time listening to. But, in the same way that I showed him some of my hip-hop stuff, and he was kind of like, oh, I get it. That's cool. And he probably wouldn't go out looking for it. I was that way with his music. Like, oh, right on. Cool. You write music, and it seems like you're pretty good at it, And then one day we just got bored and made a song, and it was fun. So then we made another song and then another one. And we argued about them constantly because we had, 2 different approaches to songwriting, 2 different visions for what good music sounds like. But by the time we got to like the 7th or 8th song, it was like, wow, we're actually kind of really good at this. And in that way, we just sort of stumbled backwards into being a band and recording an album. And now we're Bones and Beaker. And
now the album's been out since November. But you've had very few shows.
Yeah. We had a specific conversation at the point where it was apparent, like, oh, I think we are recording an album. I think it's almost done even. And, oh, I guess that makes us a band. Tony asked me, so, hey, are we writing for the stage or for the studio? And, having I don't know where he was at, but for me, coming off of 10 years of just constantly playing shows, I didn't even enjoy going to shows that much anymore.
Oh, wow.
I was kind of burnt out.
I can see that.
And so I was like, definitely the studio. And so we that's how we approached it. We wrote songs. At the very end, Chris Bearden, the bass player for Poliça, came in and added bass, and a couple friends added this or that to that song or that song. But really, the album is me and Tony, pretty much all of it. And, which means like his vocals, there will be like 10, 12 stacks of vocals on one song. So it's like, how do you even attempt to do that live? But, the album got picked up by Wax Poetics, which is a really exciting label and magazine. And all of a sudden it felt real.
How did they find you?
It's funny. I showed it to Rhymesayers first, not because I thought it would be a good fit, but just kind of on some right of first refusal type stuff. Like they've built a career for me, and I was like, I owe it to you to show this. And we spent like 2 hours sitting down with Sadiq, the president of Rhymesayers, who was like, this would be so cool just to diversify our label, but I don't think we could give it what it deserves. And then he spent like 2 hours giving us advice, and he basically said, you should either give it away for free or find a label that already has a built-in audience. Because if you're not going to tour it heavily, Tony and I are both dads who have careers now, who have houses and
obligations,
wives. And, I'm not in my 20s anymore where I can just be a road dog. And with that understanding, Sadiq was like, you should really find a label that kind of has its audience built in already. And so we sent the album out to like 6 or 7 labels and heard back from some of them, didn't hear back from others, but Wax Poetics hit us back the very next day.
Are you serious?
Like, we need this album. And that's I've been collecting that magazine since issue number 1.
Wow.
I collect it like I do records. Like if people want to look at it, it's like, don't break the spine.
God,
you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I'm that way with magazines too. Yeah.
I'm not like that with every magazine, but with that one I am. And so it went from just kind of like, oh, my friend and I recorded an album. It turned out kind of good, to like, oh, this is for real.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
And they put a bunch of money into it, and all of a sudden it was like, finally circled back to your question, we're going to need to play this live. You know what I mean? If we had an opportunity to play on a festival, or if we got really lucky and like got a chance to play on like late night television or something, you don't want to be assembling a band and trying to figure out how to play the songs then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, we've been playing shows for the last couple months. We just played at First Avenue as part of a big ticket. We just last Thursday wrapped up a month-long residency at the Nomad.
What's next?
Well, Chris Bearden, our bass player.
Oh, he's out on the road with Poliça.
He's taking off, I think, tomorrow with Poliça, and they'll be gone forever because they've got a big, great new album to promote. So we're going to spend a month training in a new bass player. We've got somebody picked out.
Can we talk about that?
Sure. Are you familiar with Little Fevers?
I have heard the name,
great
yes.
Local band. You should check them out, too. They'd be a good fit for this station. Just kind of poppy, melodic rock.
Okay.
It's the same lead singer as Lucy Michelle and the Velvet Lapels, but it's not the like real like folksy ukulele-driven.
Oh, it's
cute.
Lucy.
It's Lucy.
Oh, it's Lucy.
It's her,
of
it's her
course.
New band, and
oh,
they're
yeah.
awesome.
No, I totally know who they are.
We've played with them 3 times now, I think, and our bands seem to have kind of band crushes on each other, you know?
That's great.
So their bass player, Eamon, who it turns out is the younger brother of somebody who I've known for years anyway.
Didn't
and
Eamon
lives like 3 blocks away from me. So
That's perfect.
He's got a great voice that hits those high registers just like Chris does. He's got a real kind of punchy, melodic way of playing the bass that's similar to Chris. It's unfair. He's totally going to be like Chris Jr. It's so not fair. He deserves to be Eamon. He's a great dude, great bass player, great singer, without any comparisons necessary.